Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the first interview session on this show. I urge you to stay keen and alert because we are going to gain a lot from this. As they say, we go to school to gain knowledge, but the real life experiences give us real life lessons. So, my guest today is a very respectable man, a man who gives as much as he can to the community. He is a leader. He is a man who, when I'm in his presence, I feel the presence of my dad around. So this man is none other than the one and only Mr. Theophile Elongo. So without further ado, I'd like him to introduce himself and tell us what he does.
Thank you very much, Miss Claire. My name is Theophile, and I'm the director of the African Sub-Saharan International Development Agency, which is Asida. I work for the people, and I do manage the people. So I work for Asida as the manager of this organization named the African Sub-Sahara.
Okay. Before we go to your organization, can you please give us a little bit of your backstory from when you were born to when you migrated to Australia?
Normally, I was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I grown up in Congo. I did some of my studies in DRC. I finished some of my degrees in Congo. So later on, we were forced to flee the country because of the war. So in 1996, we were forced to flee the country. So we fled Congo to Tanzania. And we spent more time in Tanzania refugee camp, which was in south of Tanzania, west of Tanzania. We spent more time over there. We learned refugee life. We live as refugees in that country, in Tanzania. Later on, we immigrate to Australia. So we settled in Australia from probably 15 to 16 years ago. So we immigrated to Australia, and now we're living in Australia. I did a lot of studies here in Australia, from university to different colleges. So I had a few degrees in Australia, and I started working. I joined the force work. Yeah.
So I know the lifestyle in Africa and the lifestyle here in Australia is very different. How was life for you when you came to Australia? How was your experience? How was it for you adapting to the life in Australia?
Life in Australia is a bit complex, and to adapt in Australia is not really easy. You have to learn from the beginning.
I know.
When you immigrate from a country where there is no bank, and you come in a country where there is a bank, you have to learn how the bank works, for example, from the beginning. So later on, you have to learn the language also. It was one of the big barrier for us in our life. So to settle in Australia is a bit hard because you have to learn English. You have to speak English in order to understand what is going on in the country. So it was not easy for us to settle. When I came to Australia myself, I couldn't speak any English at all. So we start from the scratch, nothing at all. So now I'm proud because I can speak some English and I can understand English. I went to university. I used to study in English. I finished my degrees in English. So it is really a bit easy for me to integrate in this country. So it should not be easy for anyone who didn't go to school to settle properly or nicely or easily in this country. It's not really easy. Yeah.
So how many languages do you speak?
I can speak more than, I may say, 4 languages.
Okay, which are these languages?
I can speak French, I can speak English now, I can speak Swahili, I can speak Lingala, I can speak my maternal language. It's more than 5 languages.
Okay.
I can speak my maternal language, I can speak other dialect in DRC, so I may speak more than 5 dialects spoken in DRC, yeah.
So you've told us that you came here, you studied in Australia. Can you please take us through your educational background here in Australia?
What I did in Australia, when I came into Australia, I came as a man with a degree in my pocket, a Congolese degree in my pocket. So my degree was assessed in Australia
So which
And,
degree is that?
My degree was a rural development degree, community development. So when I went to university, I did community development, major in international social development, which is welfare, community welfare, at University of Western Sydney in Milipera, is where I went. I complete my degree. So after my degree, I have to, what I have to do after my degree. I was fully with my education, and my English also was much more improved. So I have to join the workforce. So I went for work experience. I did some experience because I was volunteer. I did some volunteer work before I can go to work. So I did some volunteer work with Red Cross Australia. I joined other organizations such as C.E.O Australia, Oxfam Australia. I did some volunteer work with them. And later on also I did some volunteer work with the Department of Community Services. And it's where with the community services, when I was doing my bachelor degree, is where I did my first placement with them of 520 hours. So soon I complete all those. I have to join I have to find for work, and I found the paid work and start working in Australia. That is what I went through.
Okay. So, and I understand that, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the former Congolese president of New South Wales, yeah?
Yeah.
So tell me how the whole experience was for you, being a leader to your own community.
I was elected to lead my community for several times. It is not something which I was willing to do, but with my connection with members of my community, through my connection, a large number of members of my community came to my place to ask me to lead my community. So for the first time when they came, they said no. I said no, I can't do this because I have to work. So you know as well, when someone finishes studies, you have to work very hard because studying is spending more time, spending more energy on a study. So later on you have to work. And I was telling people from my community that I don't want to be elected as a leader because I have to work. But a few people convinced me that I have to work for my community. And we, during a general assembly of my community, there were plenty of people on that particular annual general assembly, and I was elected as the Congolese leader. So was not easy for me to lead the community because you are working for nothing. It's like you are going back again to volunteer work. You don't get paid when you are a leader of the community. Your only thing which you have to do is support members of your community to address their problem. Can be a settlement problem, can be family problem, issues, whatever. That is how you have to stand to support any member, what age is. So any member of the community which have problem which can be solved by a leader of the community, you have to stand for your members. And I used to do that. You have to drive around. If there is anything to support, you have to support. You have to, if there is an event, you have to support your community to promote that event in your community. If there is meeting, you have to be there to represent your community, different meeting. Sometimes you will be called by the government authorities to represent your community, agencies, whatever. African community will invite you to go and represent your community. So when you become a leader, you become a busy person sometimes. But the whole thing you do in all those years, you don't get pay. You don't expect to get pay. You are there to support your community members. That is one thing which you can. So I used to do that. And I'm proud because I did very well my work with the member of my community. And what I'm getting now from my community is people are always say, oh, Theophile, during Theophile area, they were this. So I did well with member of my community. I lead my community properly as a responsible person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how long was your term of presidency, and why do you think the people elected you as their president?
One is that I'm a person who like my community. That is one. The second thing for me is I can speak all the languages spoken in my country. The languages which people speak in the east and in the west. I can speak Swahili in the east and I can speak Lingala in the west. You know, Kinshasa is west and Swahili is spoken mostly in the east. So I can speak both languages fluently. I can speak also national Congolese languages, language please, which is French. I can speak French fluently. And I can speak also some dialect spoken in the west and spoken in the east of the country, north and south. So that is one. And another thing is was at that time became a very famous person in my community, because I used to work for African community. I used also to lead couple group of people. So I used also to lead several people in different event. So during that time I was a very famous person in my community, and I was doing very well. Plus also my education also background, the good relationship which I used to have with member of my community as well was another driving force which pushed people to come and elect me during the annual general assembly. So all few that yeah.
So now let's get to what you do. I believe that Asida is your organization, right?
Yeah.
What does Asida stand for?
Bo, Asida stands for African Sub-Sahara International Development Agency, which is an organization established or created by a large number of African members of the Sub-Sahara community. So what happened is a member of the African Sub-Sahara was very concerned by the settlement issues of the African people. A number of African people used to face a large number of settlement issues. So what happened? Leaders bring us together to establish an organization which will stand for the African Sub-Saharan people. So this organization will be there to support a migrant to settle properly in Western Sydney. That was the aim. We thought maybe the organization will be only working in Western Sydney, but the need of the African people became in all over Australia. Each part of Australia we were having call that, oh, we need support in this area. Maybe because we are in New South Wales. Sometimes we used to have call from South Australia, call from Western Australia, call from Darwin, from whatever. So the second General Assembly, we decided that we have to work in Australia wide. We have to work in each state and the territory of Australia. So it took us two years before we established the first branch of Asida in South Australia. Later on, we established the third branch in Western Australia, in Perth. And then we had also some calls from outside Australia, such as in Manchester, UK. And they said, oh, can we also be part of Asida in UK, because we have learned a lot of good work Asida is doing in Australia. So what we did is during the third assembly, we agreed that we can extend Asida to work outside Australia, to have branches in other country than Australia. So the first branch we established was the branch of Asida in a country called Burundi. We established the first branch in Bujumbura. The third branch, we established it in UK, in United Kingdom, in England. The fourth branch was established. The third branch was established in eastern of DRC, in Uvira, in a city called Uvira in the eastern of DRC. And later on, we continued to establish other branches and work in Australia. Now, Asida is a bit popular in Australia because we have 4 branches now in Australia. We still not reach have a branch in each state, but our vision is to have a branch of Asida in all over Australia. So in each state and territory of Australia, we should have 1 branch at least.
So does your organization only focus on refugees, or other people are involved as well?
Yes, I may say our organization Asida are primarily focusing on refugees and migrants. So, and we can still, we do sometime. It's all about our policies, because we have a very strict policies that we have. We have at least 3 group of the people which we do support and which we do work with. We work with refugees. We work also with migrants, and we work also with asylum seekers.
So how many African countries does your organization focus on?
At the moment, we are in 3 countries now. We are in Burundi, we are in Congo, and we are in Tanzania as well. So in Africa, we are working in 3 countries, and we would like to go over. Because people are still inviting us. We have members in some countries, such as in South Africa. We have members. They are willing to open a branch, but due to our very short, limited resources, we can't open branch, because we have to open. We have to think about what are our resources. When we open a branch of our the branch of our organization, we have to think also about our resources.
So on this show, we have a lot of range of viewers, and we would like to break down all the points clearly for them to understand. So what do you mean by a non-profit organization, and why did you choose to take that path for your organization?
Asida is registered in Australia as a public company. A public company is an open company which anyone can join that company. So that is the way we said we have to register this company, because our aim is to support many people. So we should not register this company as a foundation or something which will have a very limited space of the people. So we register it as a public company, and it is a non-profit because we don't expect anything. We are just supporting people without expecting to get anything back. We are proud because we are supporting the humanity. That is something which we do. And also we have a very special status as a charitable organization in Australia. So we don't have to pay too many things like tax and other stuff, but we are working because we are working on the benefit of the humanity. So this is why we found this way that as we stand to support people, we have to stand as a non-profit organization. We should not be expecting to get anything back from the people we are supporting.
And when was Asida founded?
Asida was established in 2013.
How many people have you settled since then? Like approximately how many people?
Sorry?
Approximately how many people have you settled ever since your organization was founded until now?
Until now, I may say in Australia, we may now reach 2,000 something people, which Asida has already supported. Because, each end of the year, we have to establish a report, annual report. So through our annual report, If we collect all the data, we may reach over 2,000 people. Our organization has already supported in Australia. And it's not only supporting, because we are also, Asida used also to be involved in different campaigns in Australia. We used to be invited to support festival. We used to be invited to support different program within the African community as well. So we are proud to have this organization because we are working on the benefit of Africans. Yeah.
And what benefit do you get from the Australian government as a non-profit organization?
I may say we are proud with the Australian government because we do rely more on the grant sometimes. We get a grant and we acquit those grants. So most of the work we do nicely is sometimes we do get a grant. But we may not also underestimate the contribution made by our members, because Asida has registered members. And when we work, we do also expect to get something from our members. There are fees which they contribute annually. So it's also something which we are proud with. People do contribute every single year. They do contribute. So we are proud with both our members and the government as well, because sometimes we do get a grant from the government. That is one of the big support we do rely on as well. So that is something which I can say we are proud.
So you get your funding through contributions and grants from the government?
Yes.
Okay. So where do you see your organization in the next, maybe 3 years? What's the future of your organization?
What we are expecting, not myself, but every members of Asida is expecting that this organization in maybe 3-5 years will be able to reach every part of Australia, because we are a very growing, one of the growing organization. And in another next 3 years, Asida will reach all parts of Australia. That is our expectation, and everyone do believe this. We have this belief. We believe that in 3-5 years, I think we'll be all over Australia, and we are proud because we are one of the leading African organization. Asida has everything. We can't compare Asida with other organization. We don't know exactly, but Asida is one of the good organization which can be taken as a good example, because this organization we started when we were about 50 people, but now Asida has around 1,000 something registered members. Can you imagine? Yeah. So it is a very growing organization which can be taken as a good example of supporting African.
And you know, running a big organization like this cannot always be a smooth sailing. What are some of the challenges you face on a day-to-day basis?
We are facing some of the challenges, yes. And some of the challenges we are facing is about lack of funding is one of the challenges, because sometimes because we have our action plan, annual action plan, we do expect that this year we'll work with this. And you will see that due to lack of funding, some of our expected work we plan will not be accomplished because of the lack of funding. So those are some of the challenge. Another challenge for us is we are a small organization. We do sometimes provide the training to grow a large group of people. We do face sometimes lack of equipment. We may have 5 laptop, for example, or 3 to 5 computer. We have 20 people who want everyone to work with on the computer during our training. So lack of equipment also is something which we are suffering for, and it is one of also of the challenge. The big challenge is how we do organize our event. If we have any event for Asida, we may expect to organize something like a training of young people for 10 young people, but we will get 16 to 20 young people. So always on our event, our number go over expected. We plan something for, we want to train 15 women, you will see that will get 25 women. Everyone will call another one, because we have, our organization has a key volunteer who has a very good hospitality skills. They do welcome people very nicely, and they talk with the people nicely. That is the hospitality which we do shown on our members. It's make our organization to be a well known and a well needed organization. Yeah.
How many employees do you have?
We don't have any employee, but we have only 21 volunteer.
Okay.
Yeah, men and women as well. And on top of those 21 volunteer, we do also recruit a student from TEF and the university who do come to do their placement with us. You know, as an international organization, we do receive a lot of students from different universities around Sydney and in other states who come to work with us, do their volunteer with us.
Yeah. Before we wind up, I'd just like you to take us through the process of settling a refugee from the first step to the very last step. Yeah.
Normally, when refugees came from refugee camps, can be in Africa or in Iraq, because we work with a large number of refugees. When they come, say for example, they come from Tanzania, they arrive in Australia, the government, the department organize their staff to welcome those people. Later on, we may hear from the department that there is refugees who are here from Congo or from Burundi, from Tanzania, from whatever. So when we hear from those refugees, sometimes we send our volunteer to go and visit those refugees. When they visit them, they may find that those refugees, because we do work with refugees through criteria. If they found that they are really, really in need, because they do some assessment before we can engage to work with refugees, we do assess the family, the need of the family, and then if we may be able to invite those refugees, we invite them in our office to come for the second interview. We interview them, and those interview will go through. It is part of the assessment we do before we can say that, so let us sit down and work with the refugees. We do always work with them through our policies, because organization as Asida has a really good policies to work with the people. So when it comes that there is something which they need, which our organization cannot afford, we do referral. We refer those refugees to our partner organization, because Asida has a very large number of partner organizations in Australia, especially in the state where we work. So that is how we do. And we take those refugees. They will be working with some organization, yes, but we ourselves will come with our additional support, which may last 6 to 5 months. It may go even if 1 year. We are working with them, and we do provide, one of the key things which we provide is employment training and workshop. We provide a large number of employment training to women, youth, whatever. So we support them with the employment. And we organize also the information session with the refugees as well.
Okay. So I know with the organization you've worked with a lot of youth. You provide training with them. You have different workshops here and there. So I'd like you to face the camera and give advice to the African youth.
What I can say is We work with young people, we work with women, we work with a different group of refugees and migrants as well, even if asylum seekers, as I said. And one of the things which we do ask them to do when they come to this country, it is a good country. The government will do support them, but they need also to shop around, see if there may be some other organization which can help them to integrate in this country properly. They need to shop around, so see if there is something support which they can, because what we ask refugees is to see how they can maximize their settlement. Maximizing their settlement means shop around. You have the main receiver who receive you in Australia is the government who do receive all of us in this country. Very good staff, member, whatever, they can provide everything. But on the grassroots where we work, we as Asida, we found that, this one also needed. This family need this. And we do referral. Sometimes we refer them to the department. Sometimes we refer them to the health organization. Sometimes we refer them to trauma and trauma organization who work with people who are traumatized, because people are coming as refugees. They have passed through a lot of issues. So we refer them to different organization.
Okay. Well, guys, what better way than to sit in the presence of our elders who have been there before us and learn some life lessons from them. Thank you so much, Mr. Theophile Elongo. I hope my viewers have gained one or two from your speech. And thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you again another time. Stay tuned, guys, for the next time. And until then, I'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you very much.